Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we're talking Week 10 in NFL. We got some mailbag questions from the listeners today, so we're going to jump into this thing right away. We got some trade questions, some start sit questions, stuff like that. So we're going to jump into this with Casey's question. First, it's a trade question. Would you trade Jonnu Smith and Zach Moss for TJ Hawkinson? Jonnu Smith, Zach Moss for TJ Hawkinson. I don't think I'd do that. Not with Zach Moss.
Not really.
I mean, I think Hawkinson could be better than Smith at this point, but I think Moss is interesting just because of his touchdown potential in the red zone. And I don't think an upgrade from Hawkinson, getting Hawkinson over Smith, that's not a big enough upgrade, really. Go with Jonnu or just look for I'd say look to the waivers. The waivers aren't really there at tight end, but no, I don't think I'd do that deal. I'll stick with what you have.
Yeah, and if you look at it too, I mean, Jonnu and Hawkinson aren't too different, really. They're very similar players. They have very similar points. The only difference is Jonnu got his touchdowns earlier in the year. Hawkinson is getting them now. I don't think either of them get enough targets to really make me think that one is going to be more productive than the other down the stretch. I think it's either or. I don't think that one stands out.
Yep. All right, we got Bready Spaghetti with some questions here for us. First one, would you trade Jonnu Smith? So a lot of people trying to trade Jonnu Smith right now. Would you trade Jonnu Smith for, where'd it go? It's the lost for the Steelers defense because he has Dallas Goedert as his backup.
Ooh, yeah, I would.
I would do that too. I think that's a good way to do that. You have two players at a position you don't need two players at. Yeah, I'm completely good with that one, actually. Because his other question would be like, if you didn't do that deal, would you start Goddard or Smith? But I'd start Goddard anyway over Smith. So
yeah, without doubt,
I'm good with that. But he has one more question. Does Bready Spaghetti? Who are you starting at wide receiver? Allen Lazard or Christian Kirk? So this obviously depends on if Lazard is truly active this week, which I don't think we've gotten any confirmation on that. It seems like it's been trending that way, but we really don't know that yet. But let's say first off, if he is active, because obviously if he's not Christian Kirk, it's not a problem. But if he's active, first week back, are you going with him? You're going with Allen Lazard or Christian Kirk's playing against Buffalo. So that's not the easiest matchup. And then Allen Lazard would be playing against Jacksonville.
Yeah, I would still go Christian Kirk. First game back, yeah. Christian Kirk has been very good in the last few games. I try to ride the hot hand. You don't know where Lazard is health-wise. Give him a game, let him get back on top. And Christian Kirk, I mean, if he keeps going this way, I mean, what is this, 6 touchdowns in 5 games? Hey, play the hot hand. If he plays well again, then keep starting him. And the worst case scenario is Lazard and him both do well. And then you have a choice to make the next week, which is not a problem at all.
Matt Powell asks, should I trade James Robinson for Adam Thielen? And I'm going to say no.
No. I would have never thought we'd have that question.
I mean, James Robinson's like a top 5 back at this point, especially with the schedule. I mean, Green Bay's not a tough he's playing Green Bay this week. That's not a tough run defense. Man, we've talked about this before, but this is like my biggest regret of the year is not getting James Robinson. Funny thing is, like, I still haven't bought into it. Have you? I mean, if you really like bought into it completely, like, you know what I mean?
It's a funny way to put it. Yeah. I like next year, if you're like, where are you going to draft him? He's not going to be anywhere near the top in my mind.
It's Alex Collins to me. If you remember, right. Remember how that one went, but for this year, it's working, right? It's working right now. Maybe it's not, maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe it's more than that, but, it's been impressive. I'll say that he keeps getting it done when I think he's not going to. So next question is, how do you feel about Terry McLaurin with Alex Smith now as his quarterback? Should I start him or do you see him more as a flex option now? So it looks like Kyle Allen is out for probably the season, which, honestly, I don't think Alex Smith's a downgrade. I think it's Alex Smith. He needed to, gets into playing a little bit again. I think he's going to be fine. I'm not worried about it. I'm just not. I don't think Alex Smith is a downgrade for Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin's still the main target. And playing against Detroit this week, he's going to be a good option. I mean, I think he's still like a wide receiver too, but maybe on good teams, maybe he's a flex if you have some good receivers ahead of him. But I'm not worried about it. My opinion hasn't changed based on the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you, and I don't think that the QB is a downgrade. I think Terry McLaurin is going to get his looks no matter what. He's pretty much shown that, even as Washington has really struggled this year. My only question is Alex Smith, he did get some playing time in the last game and all of that, but we don't really know where he's at yet. Like getting the shake the rust off. You had it wasn't that long ago. You wonder if he's mentally ready to take the big hits and deliver the ball and do all that. So I think that I put Terry McLaurin at like a flex position this week, just to be like, you got to give the guy a little bit of time to get back up and going. But I think Alex Smith is a very good quarterback, and I don't think that will that should change Terry McLaurin's outlook for the next few weeks or the rest of the year, I should say. I feel like one game I would be hesitant just to figure out where the quarterback really is.
Brother Coffee Bean has a few questions for us here. He's saying Fournette and Montgomery haven't been getting the touchdowns. When should we expect that from them? I don't know if we can. I wouldn't count on it, honestly, at this point. From neither, they're both up and down options. Fournette is just when you think he's going to start doing something, the Bucs do what they did, and it was terrible. He didn't get much from Fournette, so I'm not going to count on them for much. So some other ones he's doing here is he's saying, what should we expect from AJ Green? Are you still, Jeff? I know you've been an AJ Green fan, but it just really hasn't happened except for maybe one game where he started to do a little bit. Are you expecting much from him? He's playing Pittsburgh this week, so that's not great, but are you kind of just off of that whole idea?
Yeah, I'm off of it. There's a couple things that go into it, right? T. Higgins, I actually do believe in. He's been doing pretty decent. I think they have a few of the weapons that kind of, just came to be a little earlier than we thought. And yeah, last week was not great, or week 8 against Tennessee. But the 2 weeks before that, I thought we were starting to see him 8 for 96, 7 for 82. You saw it shifting. But until I see him catch a touchdown, until I see him have that bigger game, I think that is where I have to believe the top is at the moment. So do I believe in him? No, especially not against Pittsburgh. But he does have some good matchups going down, but he is definitely a streaming option, maybe a flex if you're in trouble. But AJ Green just hasn't proven himself this year as of yet.
So one last question from Brother Coffee Bean. Pick up one receiver. You can pick up one of these 4 or 3 guys. Curtis Samuel, Allen Lazard, David Moore. Which one of the 3 are you picking up?
Lazard.
Yeah, I'm going Lazard too. It would be Lazard, Samuel, Moore for me, that kind of order. All right, Serge asked, should I trade away Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds for Joe Mixon?
Ooh.
Makes me think for a second. I want to say yeah, but we'll see. Is Mixon going to be back this week? It makes you think here, doesn't it? Mixon, if he does come back, he's playing Pittsburgh, which isn't great. But I don't feel like it's the right decision necessarily. I don't know if I'm sold on it, but I think I'd do it. I think I'd do it. That might not be right though. And maybe I'm just attaching too much yet to name value, and I shouldn't. But
no, I'm on the same. I'm on the same wavelength. My only thing is you're guaranteed to have a running back pretty much if you keep Edmonds or Drake. And I do worry about the injury a little bit with Mixon. Like, you don't know what player you're really getting back at the moment. Pittsburgh, you just take it out of the equation. Like, that's probably not going to be great. But after that, Washington, the Giants, Miami, which actually has been pretty decent, but then Dallas, who has been terrible, and then Pittsburgh again. So you do have a nice little, run of games, but then you hit Pittsburgh in week 15, which is right in the playoff hunt. That worries me a little bit. I don't know. I think it's a very close for me. Do I like Mixon better than I like those other guys? Yeah, but I think having both of those guys together is safer. Actually, no, I do it. It is safer, but I think at this point you have to go for the upside. I would take Mixon, but it's riskier by far with injury and then obviously 2 games against Pittsburgh.
So Dr. Gauthier has a similar question just because it's asking about Chase Edmonds. And he says, do you think Chase Edmonds has league winning potential? Because he's trying to decide if I should trade him before Drake is back while his value is still high, or do I keep him in the hopes that he breaks out even when Drake is back? And then like, what kind of running back would you be looking for? But I think a Joe Mixon is a level you'd be looking for to trade away Chase Edmonds. Does he have league winning potential? If Kenyon Drake didn't exist, I would say possibly. But Kenyon Drake does exist, and he is going to be back, right? And I think at that point, we're going to see Kenyon Drake still playing. So I would be of the mindset of trying to trade Chase Edmonds right now for something. I do agree with that way of going about it. And then what do you get for him? I mean, like a Joe Mixon, I guess if you could pull that off, I think that's okay. Cause I don't think you're getting anything really above that at this point. You have to get, I mean, no one's going to take Chase Edmonds unless you're trading away a player that has some, there's question marks, right? I mean, because Chase Edmonds has his question marks because this is going to be the guy. So maybe it is like a Mixon. Maybe that's the level. I don't know who else you could possibly go for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that these were asked back to back because after looking at it even further into Edmonds, I mean, you're absolutely right. If Drake comes back, maybe Edmonds does hold on to it, but after last game, he got 25 carries. He only, made 70 yards out of it, but that obviously was against Miami defense. That has been doing way better than people are giving him credit for. And then after that, Drake usually gets all the carries. Edmonds gets, the receiving yards, and they just kind of split. League winning is a little different in this year, I feel like, because of all of these running backs that we're talking about that you could possibly trade Edmonds or Drake away for, right? Mixon would probably be kind of near the top of that list. He's not on a great team. He has been up and down, but the talent is there and he does have a good run of games. But who else would you even be looking for, right? Because you're not going to get like the other guys that come to mind that maybe you would be in that discussion. But James Conner, because he has been up and down, but you have to believe that people still think his situation is better.
I would think people would still
Jonathan Taylor, because he's been struggling. Maybe you can get him instead. I mean, other than that, I mean, you're not going to get. I mean, do you really want like Ronald Jones or Fournette? Like that's kind of a nightmare. No. Mike Davis doesn't even kind of matter anymore.
We'll
David
see.
Montgomery, maybe. Yeah, we'll see. But David Montgomery, Melvin Gordon, there's giant question marks around these guys. I think that is what it becomes difficult. And in this situation too, did he say if he had Drake as well, or is it just Edmonds?
He doesn't say that he has Drake.
Okay.
And you know what? And he says his other running backs are fine. So it wouldn't be hurting my starting lineup by trading him away. So if that's the case, I think you do try to trade him and get something out of him. Try to get another play. Maybe it's a wide receiver. Maybe it's not a running back. Maybe it's a wide receiver. Maybe you trade him for like
a high.
Yeah, I don't know what player that would be, what level.
If you only have Edmonds too, if you don't have Drake, I think it's not as big of a worry because, if you had both, then you do have a starting running back no matter what. Mm-hmm. I think in his situation, if it doesn't hurt him and he's really looking for that depth, I do take a risk on some of these guys. Like I try to go after even Jonathan Taylor for sure. I would try to take a shot at Montgomery, anyone that is going to have that week in, week out, just ability to get more carries. So I would go for it, especially in that situation. If you have both, it changes the dynamic a bit.
All right. Elvis Cardona asks, should I bench Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson for Deante Johnson and T. Higgins? I know they struggled, but I can't do it. I'm starting both of them yet. I think I'm starting Thielen for sure, right? I guess the question for me would be Jefferson or Deante Johnson, but I still think I'd go Jefferson. Deante Johnson might have a better matchup with Cincinnati compared to Jefferson's Chicago, but I'm gonna.
Well,
or maybe you want to switch it up. Do you want to switch it up and not have both of the Vikings? Is that what you want to do? If that's the case, Thielen and Johnson.
That is tough. And I'm not going to lie. Like right now, I think I would rather start T. Higgins than Deante.
Really? Okay.
I would. I mean, if you're just going by numbers, because they kind of have the similar.
But T. Higgins going against Pittsburgh.
Oh, that is a good point. God, man, everyone's going against Pittsburgh. I keep forgetting Cincinnati. Even with that, though, who is Deante going against? I mean, it's tough because I don't know what to expect out of Deante Johnson week in, week out.
Well, they're going against Cincinnati because they're on Pittsburgh.
Like, I mean, do you have a good feeling about how many balls he's going to get thrown to him, anything like that? Because this guy's been incredibly up and down.
Yeah, I have no idea what he's going to get. No idea. It's, honestly, I'm just going to go. I'm going to ride with Thielen and Jefferson. Thielen and Jefferson. I'm good with it.
Then we don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, well, they're going against Chicago, though.
Yeah, I'm going with it. I'm doing it. I'd go both of them.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, I'm going with it. Yeah, tough one.
It is a tough one. That's a very good question. I think right now I'd be leaning towards Thielen and Jefferson, unless I hear news about anyone being hobbled or anything like that. But I would definitely have T. Higgins at the ready. T. Higgins might take over for Jefferson in my mind. That would be the one I'd be battling out to be like, okay, who's healthy? Who are they playing? Where are the, storylines going? But that would be like a Saturday prediction kind of thing.
A couple tight end questions to end it. Then Elvis had should I start Evan Ingram over Mark Andrews? Ingram's playing against the Eagles, Andrews against New England. I still can't trust Evan Ingram. I'm going to still try to go with Andrews and hope it turns out well. It's close, but I can't trust Evan Ingram with nothing about me. I can't trust that.
I would do the same. I mean, both have been frustrating as all heck, but Mark Andrews, he just hasn't been good the last few games, but I still like his upside. He has a couple of games this year where he's caught multiple touchdowns. I don't want to miss out on that. Right. I don't think Ingram offers something like that high of a thing where that would make the difference in the week. So I still roll with Andrews, but we might be one game away from me shying away.
Then Ice Cams asks, rest of season tight end, Goddard or Hooper? And I'll go Goddard.
Goddard.
And then final question from Evan Justice. Still trust Zeke and Jacobs? And I feel like he's asking this directly to me because those are my running backs on my team. I'll say trust. No, I don't trust them. Obligated to start them forever? Yes, obligated to start them forever. Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, Zeke, I can understand that, but the Jacobs one, I'm much more trustworthy of him.
Yeah, you know what? He's going to get volume, but I do hate how they throw Booker in there, and I hate seeing that. It bothers me. It annoys me whenever I see Booker do something decent.
But once again, you go down the running back list, and it gets shallow really, really quickly. Josh Jacobs is still up there as far as how many carries he's going to get, and there's no way you're not going to start him. Zeke, I mean, the truth is you just can't not start him because of his talent and his name.
Yeah, at least this week.
Less to do with everything else.
At least this week's on bye, so you don't have to think about it for a week. But, I mean, I don't know. It's just tough to trust Zeke because Mike McCarthy is a moron. So, yeah.
So we do have two more here really quickly from Owen. And first of all, he wants our thoughts on Corey Davis, which is hilarious. We were just talking about him before this.
You know what I say? I say, wait till tomorrow. Let's do another episode on Corey Davis.
Okay. And the other one would be, this is a trade question. So it'd be Julio and Drake for DJ Moore and either Mixon or Sanders. Which side would you take in that? I mean, to get the option of Mixon or Sanders is very interesting as well. First of all, I think I go on the side of Julio is obviously the overall talent, but I think if I got the choice to get one of those running backs,
I'd want Sanders.
I would too. Yeah, I would probably take the DJ Moore and Sanders side. Would you still roll with Julio?
It's actually really tough for me.
It's very close.
I want to lean to the Julio side. A lot of it has to do with DJ Moore and me thinking, honestly, I don't think it's even value at this point. Depends on the running back upgrade, which a lot of it depends on when Drake comes back. That's the problem here.
Okay, but even when he does come back, he has been
but when he comes back, I just don't know if I think the Julio Moore difference could be a big one.
Well, it very well could. Assume that like Drake or Sanders, because we know we're going Sanders, they're going to be in your starting lineup. And then, DJ Moore, I guess, would have to be in your starting lineup too. I think it would be easier. You can't really replace Julio, but I do think that it's possible to make up those points between having a better running back and then putting someone else, streaming in that wide receiver position. So maybe, a little bit of luck and a little bit of weekly debate in your head, but I think I would rather go that way because having Drake in there, I don't know. I just don't trust that. I don't trust it down the stretch. I think Sanders, if he stays healthy, he could be the difference.
I guess if you really need the running back, I guess do it. I don't love it. I don't love this trade. I just don't love it overall but the whole DJ Moore thing bothers me, but Julio doesn't. I don't have a lot of confidence in Julio right now either to just put up big numbers. But I feel like if you need the running back and Sanders is going to be back this week, I think you do it. I don't know if you love doing this deal, but I think it's the right deal. Yeah, I think you do it. Don't love it though. I don't love it. I just don't love the city. Something about it I don't love, but I think it's the way to go. It's one of those. It's a weird one for me. But all right. I think that's it then for Mailbag Week 10. We're getting there. We're almost to the playoffs. So that'll do it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have some more talk on maybe some disappointments going on here and what we can do. Maybe if they can, maybe Corey Davis will be talked about for sure. So and some others. Talk to you guys then.